Welcome into Tuatara Television, the second episode, looking back on the season that was 2019-2020. And today we dedicate this program to manager Steve Mintz. We catch up, an in-depth interview. We look at his playing career, first time he got the call up to play in the major leagues himself, his coaching philosophy, his managerial style, and what he also makes of the New Zealand coaching staff that included this season Dan Tan, Johnny Southey and Gus Ledger. All that and a lot more. But first up, I talked about that life-changing moment for him when he got the call from the minor leagues up to the major leagues.
Yes, got called up. I was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Got the phone where my manager got the call. We had just arrived in Albuquerque and got to the hotel. We were probably going in there for a 3-4 game series. And it was like, you got to go back to the airport. They want you in San Francisco. And it happened so fast. It's like you dream about this since you're 6 years old, and then all of a sudden it's just like it's happening, and you got to do this, you got to do that. And so I'm back at the airport. I get a pocket full of quarters, no cell phones, nothing like that. I'm dropping quarters into phone, trying to call mom and dad and my wife, and just trying to call everybody I needed to call and tell, and then you're back on a plane, and the next thing you know, you're sitting in a major league ballpark. And one side note that a lot of people don't know about me is that I told my dad I was never going to a major league baseball game until I was playing in it. So when I walked into Candlestick Park, that was the first major league park I had ever been in my life. And so there was no guarantee. I guess if I'd never made it, I might have went to a major league ballpark sometime or another. But that was kind of my little deal I made with myself. I told my dad, I'm like, I'm not going to a major league baseball park until I'm playing in it. So then you show up at Candlestick Park, and I'm able to get my parents out, get them from North Carolina all the way out to San Francisco, California. And they were able to see me pitch the following day in my, the first time I ever took the mound in a major league uniform. So it was surreal. Dusty Baker was my manager, still one of my good friends to this day. And he was just so encouraging once I got to the mound, because, my legs were shaking. It's like, geez, man, this is crazy. This is like really happening. And then just the feel of accomplishment, that you have to know, all the work that your family put in, the work that you put in, and then now all of a sudden, you're getting this unbelievable opportunity to pitch as a major league pitcher. And it was just obviously a dream come true. But there was so many people in my life that, that made that possible. Could have never done it by myself. And I still think all the people that were on my path to get me.
Steve, what about superstitions? Did you ever have any superstitions as a player?
I am the anti-superstitions. Okay. I was the guy in the bullpen where Javi Alvarez would come and sit his glove like right there, and I'd walk by and I'd kick it. Or he'd want to make sure that he could sit, and he wanted to sit there, and I would make sure that I sat there so that he couldn't. I never got into all that, the superstition stuff, anything like that. I probably did stuff different on a daily basis. Maybe that was my superstition. I just did stuff different, so I didn't have to worry about it. But never got caught up in any of that stuff. I know a lot of people do, wearing nasty socks for months on end and jock straps and all those type things. But I just tried to prepare myself for what was going on, and hopefully I was able to be better than the guy I was at the time.
Steve, you're employed by the Texas Rangers organization, and more teams within the Australian Baseball League are having greater affiliation with the major league clubs. Give us an understanding of just how big the Rangers organization is, the number of teams that sit directly below the major league franchise itself.
Yeah, Texas Rangers, we've got a brand new ballpark in Arlington we haven't been able to play in yet, so we've got our big league team there in Arlington. Our AAA team is in Nashville, Tennessee now, and we've been there 1 or 2 years. Our AA team is in Frisco, Texas, which is about 35 minutes from Arlington. So it makes it a quick transition to get our AA guys to the big leagues because we're right there. Then we have our high A team is in Kinston, North Carolina, where I've been coaching the last 3 years. And then we have our low A team that is in Hickory, North Carolina, which is about maybe, I don't know, 3.5 hours kind of west of Kinston. And then we have a short season team in Spokane, Washington, in the Northwest League. And then we have our Arizona rookie team that plays out of Arizona. And then we have our Dominican complex, which we try to run at least 2 teams out of there every summer in the DSL. So it's a wide range of players and coaches and strength guys and trainers. It is a massive, massive operation with, and it's not just training, it's everybody pretty much kind of follows suit on the thing as far as teams and what they do. So it is a lot of people going a lot of different directions, and spring training. If you've ever been to spring training, it looks like chaos, but we actually know what we're doing. So
Organised chaos indeed. I'm sure there is method to the madness. What managerial experience did you have before coming to the Auckland Tuatara?
A couple of years in minor leagues. I was in Hickory. I had managed instructional league the year before, and then I had actually managed in Adelaide in the ABL 2 years, and was actually going back for my third. And there was just some stuff that took place with my family, and I needed to stay home that winter. And so we turned the reins over to Tank there in Adelaide. And then actually that was why I was available because I had not went back to Adelaide that third year. And then I was able to join the Tuatara.
What do you believe are the key attributes to being a good manager?
Not gonna lie, you got to be a people person. You've got to be honest with these guys. To me, being crystal clear, making sure that everybody knows what the plan is. Obviously, things change from time to time, but making sure that the players understand what their roles are, what the team is trying to do, and then relaying that to them. And then the respect factor of these guys, whether they're Kiwis, whether they're affiliated guys, whether they're from Japan or wherever they're from, making sure that there's a respect for what they're doing on the field for us, and then obviously trying to get a group of 25 men to pull on the same side of the rope to try to accomplish the same goals, and to get them to somehow or another put the selfish things that they have to the side and get everybody to play as a team. I think is one of the biggest parts of managing. And then the people that I have around me, the Darren Braggs, the Johnny Southies, the Dan Tans, Regan, all the people that's doing all the stuff, all those people that are around me and helping me do what we want to accomplish is just as big as the players. Because not going to lie, this year, without the coaching staff that we had, things could have been a lot different. Just with from the very start when Ryan Costello passed away, and all the things that we had to deal with on a daily basis, trying to get those things taken care of, knowing that I had a coaching staff that was on the field, putting these guys through the things that we had set up and getting them ready for a weekend of baseball. And it was there's no money I could have put on my coaching staff this year and what they were able to do for the Tuatara, and to make my managing job easy. I make the lineup each night, but I'm talking with those guys. I'm asking Bragg, hey, we got this guy pitching, is this guy here better suited? And all those type things. So using all the pieces that are around a manager makes a good manager also, because I can't do it all.
When we look at the Auckland Tuatara, perhaps we don't maybe have the depth at a senior level, and therefore the club relies a lot more on imports from America, from Australia, Asia, and in the case of Sebastian Noye out of the Netherlands. How do you need to adjust your communication style to be able to reach these players so that you do get that collective buy-in? Do you adjust your communication style?
No doubt. I don't care where you're at. You can't coach every player the same. You cannot do it. I don't care who tells you whatever they want to tell you. You cannot do it. You have to. There's different attitudes. There's different backgrounds. There's different cultures that people have been brought up in. You have to take all of that into account. There's some guys you can go and you can just rip on them, air them out. Other ones you can't do that all the time. And then you got people coming from other countries and what they have been accustomed to, and then all of a sudden you just flip it and it's night and day from what they're coming from. Then it's hard to be able to get them to buy into it. So you are juggling different aspects of different people to try to get them to buy into what we're doing. But I think it all starts with our whole coaching staff and us being on the same page with the same message day in and day out. Whether we win, whether we lose, the way we play the game, that's going to be first and foremost. And if we play the game the right way and we catch the ball and we throw the ball, we're going to win more games than we lose. And that's the way we approach it every single day.
Do you buy into this philosophy that what you do off the field reflects what you do on the field, that better people make better sports people?
Right or wrong, I don't really care. It's my thoughts. But I do. I think you have to be at least somewhat of a quality person. And that's here in the States. I believe it tremendously. And that's not to say that there's not a ton of whatever word you want to use in the Hall of Fame over here in the States. But I truly believe that if you're a decent person, the respect that you gain from fans, your teammates, and all of those other people comes so much easier. And it's so much easier to coach, and it's so much easier for the players to be around. And like I've always said, we're trying to prepare these guys for life. Obviously, we want them to be really, really good baseball players. But in the end, these guys, they're going to be husbands. They're going to be fathers. And they have to learn to do these things. And we hope that through baseball, we can teach them all that stuff about, how to be a team, and relate that into raising a family, or, how to take care of yourself, and then relate that into being a good husband and looking after a wife, So we like to think that we're building men, not just baseball players.
Just want to ask you this. Did you feel like you had an open door policy, that a player, that you had that respect, that you had that relationship, that at any point a player could come to you privately and maybe say, hey, I'm struggling with why I've been dropped, or I'm struggling with the decision you've made?
No doubt. I've told the guys the 2 years we've been there, this is their team. They are the Tuatara. Yes, I'm a manager, making lineups and different things, but I want them to feel like that is their team, and I want them to be able to police themselves. They see a guy that doesn't hustle down to first base. They see a guy dogging it on the field, not making plays that he should make. I want them holding each other accountable. And then on the other side of it, my door's always open, because like I said previously, I try to be crystal clear with these guys so that they understand it. And if they have questions about it, they can come and ask me anything they want to. And my players will tell you, I'll scream and holler at you right now, but when I'm done, I'm done. I don't hang on to it and then 2 hours later, try to poke you again. I say what I want to say. I get it off my chest, and then let's go try to get better. That's the way I look at it. And I hope that my players around me, they understand that, they respect that, and they know who's coming to the ballpark every single day. I want to be the same guy every single day.
A little bit about, because clearly the Tuatara, it's about developing the game in Australasia, and clearly Tuatara about developing the game here in New Zealand, but it's also a pathway for coaches. It's also a pathway for officials. So Dan Tan, Johnny Southey, Gus Ledger, clearly part of that coaching staff. Where do you see that side of the game in New Zealand? Are we moving in the right direction?
Yeah, no doubt. We made the decision this year when we came. We were looking at the coaching staff, and like I said, we added Dan Tan, we added Johnny, and we added Gus. Gus, we kind of used him kind of as a swing person. He had some commitments and different things that he needed to, satisfy with school and rugby and different things like that. But we were happy to get anything Gus could offer us. And he was at most of the home games. And actually, I think he took one of the trips with us on the road. But Gus has got a lot of knowledge in that head. You know, maybe a lot of people in New Zealand don't know it, but he has a lot of baseball sense in his head. And then adding Dantan and Johnny, we decided we were going to put Dantan at third base and we were going to put Johnny at first base. And not going to lie, Regan had some questions about it, but with the question that you're asking, I told Regan, I said, we have to develop these coaches. We have to. And I said, yeah, we'll take some bumps and bruises with Dantan at third base. There's no doubt. I'm like, but we're going to ride it out. We're going to take it all the way out. Let him go over there and learn. I said, that's the only way you can learn is being over there. I said, I can tell him all this stuff, where to stand, angles, blah, 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 all these things to give him. I'm like, but he's not going to learn how to do it unless we put him out there and make him do it. And the same thing with Johnny at third base. And we had actually intended on maybe flip-flopping them some. And then even the last series, I was hoping that we were going to have the playoff spot like locked up. And I was going to actually turn the team over to Dantan for a couple of days and let him go through and make the lineups and do all the stuff that comes with actually being the manager. I was going to make him, but then when we got our brains beat in the first 2 nights, I was like, well, we still have to win a game to get in this thing. So I kind of had to hang on to it. I couldn't turn it over, but we have to. If we're not developing the coaches there in New Zealand, then we're wasting our time because I can't be there all the time. Bragger can't be there all the time. So we need to make sure that the coaches are being developed. And I think we need to do more. I think we can do more with some of the up-and-coming coaches. We got Chris Richards there. You know, he helps run some of the grassroots stuff up in Wellington. But we need to be getting these coaches more reps, more knowledge, more everything that comes with the game of baseball.
We've talked a lot about the players' accountability and your communication style with them. In terms of monitoring and measuring your coaching staff and those New Zealanders particularly, those names that we've mentioned, Johnny Southey, Dan Tan and Gus Ledger, how did you evaluate their performances? Was it just on an ad hoc basis or did you sort of set meetings and sort of go through and look at video?
All that, what you just said, but now we did, you know, early on, there would be things happen at third base, and I mean, I had told Dantan before they ever started, I'm like, I'm going to critique you. Like, if you do something wrong over there and you cost us a run, man, we're going to talk. We're going to talk about it, you know. And Dantan was awesome. You know, Johnny at first base, there's not as much pressure over there at first base than there is at third base because you start sending people home and they're getting thrown out, but. We're going to be aggressive, and that's what I told Dantan to be at third base. I said, I want you to be aggressive. We're going to try to score runs. And when he would make a mistake, he made a wrong read, we would talk about it and go over it. And then even sometimes the next day we'd go back out and maybe go over what took place at third base, where he was at, tell me, hey, what were you seeing? Where did you see the ball? And those different things. But I think it was huge for Dantan and Johnny, mostly because they were on the field every game almost, and then for Gus just to be around and listening to myself and Bragger and DJ Carrasco and the things that they were throwing out, and they were able to wrap into their knowledge bank and be able to use it. And we're just hoping that this next year that we'll continue to grow. And we're gonna continue to make mistakes, and that's okay. If we're not making mistakes, we're not learning and we're not growing. So I'm not worried about those things. And but like I said, I just want to make sure that these coaches are growing and getting better at their craft also.
Well, Steve, thank you for joining us on the program. Some remarkable insight, and hopefully everybody watching this has enjoyed it and taken something from it. I thought today that we might just finish this episode with one of the great moments of the season, and that was when Steve caught up with Dale Budge post that game against the Brisbane Bandits that the Tuatara won 1-0, and we made the playoffs. Steve was full of so much emotion, and I think in that moment it just summed up him as a person, his character, and what the Tuatara organisation and what the season ultimately meant to him.
You don't know how long I've waited to ask you this question, but how good does that feel?
Oh, man. Josh Gomenter, he had the weight of a country, you know, and he just.
That was this roller coaster ride for the last few months. Man, there have been some hurdles for this team to overcome, like nothing people will ever understand from outside the group. How special is this?
It's unbelievable. Just, I mean, for these fans, it's just awesome.
You've been in baseball for 30 odd years. I think you've seen a lot. You've done a lot. Where does this rank?
Way up there for sure, man. This is so special for our team, for this country, for the city of Auckland, and for the ABL. I mean, for what we've been able to do, I just think it just builds our league.
Congratulations, mate. Go and enjoy it. You don't know how proud we are of you. Well done.